So tempers flared at Chiefs training camp today when Kadarius Toney got hit with a cheap shot by defensive end George Karlaftis. And in this video, I'll break down why that made Travis Kelce so heated, take a look at a couple of new injuries, Jared Wiley's insane one-handed grab, and more. But first, how about those? All right, Wednesday's practice is over. There was a lot to talk about. We have some injuries, a bit of a fight with Travis Kelce getting all the way fired up, and more. So let's get into it, starting with injuries, because, again, there are sadly a couple new additions to this list from today's practice. Let's start with those who have been missing previously this week. Xavier Worthy due to an illness, strep throat in particular, and cornerback Kelvin Joseph for personal reasons. Well, Worthy is still out with that strep throat, but is getting better. Then cornerback Kelvin Joseph returned for Wednesday's practice after missing Monday and Tuesday for those personal reasons. And so far, there are no changes to the PUP/NFI lists either. Both Justin Reed, quad, and BJ Thompson, that health scare still getting tested, remain on the NFI list. And then Derek Nottie, tricep, Charles Omenihu, knee, Joe Thuney, pec, and Jalen Watson, shoulder, remain on the PUP. Both Justin Reed and Jalen Watson, though, could be seen out there today taking mental reps without a helmet on, which is always good to see. Then for the new injuries, both wide receiver Justin Watson and cornerback Nazeeh Johnson got carted off to the locker room today. They were both in the front of the cart, which typically means better news than if they were in the back. But let's start with what should hopefully be the more minor of the two, though of course I hope they are both minor at the end of the day, and that is cornerback Nazeeh Johnson. Nobody saw what happened initially, but near the end of practice, Nazeeh was spotted with the trainers, and they were looking at the same leg that he injured last year at training camp, specifically looking at his right knee. And as a reminder, he tore his ACL at training camp last year, had surgery, and has come all the way back, was even working with the ones today. We'll talk more about that later. But the Chiefs did confirm it was Nazeeh's knee that was the issue. And at first I was like, please no, do not let something else happen to Nazeeh's knee. But I did reach out to Nazeeh. He told me he's good. He just landed on it. It's a part of the game, and he was being precautionary with the whole thing. So it sounds like he's fine, at least from the words of Nazeeh himself, and it doesn't appear to be anything major going on, which is great news. Now for Justin Watson, he slid to catch a pass from Mahomes here on this play, and his left leg didn't seem to get the memo. You can see here from multiple angles that Watson's foot caught awkwardly under him, and it definitely did not look good. You can see it even here in slow motion. I mean, it looked like it hurt like hell, if we're going to be honest. He was notably in pain too immediately after this happened, but was able to walk on his own with a slight limp towards the injury tent. Then they checked out his left foot/ankle area for quite a while, and he did some light testing barefoot on his left foot, but ended up getting carted up to the locker room as well. This was before Nazeeh, so Watson went up on the cart first, and then Nazeeh was near the end of practice. But for Watson, man, this is unfortunate because Mahomes has been targeting him for some solid connects already. Yesterday, Watson caught that wild sidearm sling from Mahomes as he scrambled left. And then today, Tranquill blitzed on this play, and Mahomes had to fire it quickly, using Watson as a safety valve to get some positive yards. After Watson left due to injury, Nico Remigio was the next man up to get some reps in his place, which is good for Nico and his stock, but man, you hate to see injuries, so I hate to see that for Justin Watson. He was a very solid wide receiver 4 for the team, and actually was 3rd on the team in receiving yards last year. Either way, I would hope this injury isn't anything crazy that would end his season or anything dramatic. In worst case, he misses camp and maybe a little bit of the regular season. Best case, he just rolled his ankle, tweaked it, and is good after a week or two, but we will have to wait and see. The Chiefs did confirm that it was Watson's foot and it was Nazeeh's knee, but they did not confirm to what extent these injuries were. And so hopefully we find out more on both of them soon. And since I brought up Nico Remigio getting some reps in with Watson out, while he was unable to reel in that no-look pass from Mahomes yesterday, he had a great catch today as he turned toward the left sideline and Mahomes scrambling a bit up into the left to avoid pressure, threw off his back foot, and Remigio made sure to reel it in cleanly. Adam Teicher of ESPN said Remigio had a busy day after Watson's exit, catching several passes on the day, including that throw from Mahomes. And Nico is a guy on the bubble fighting for a spot, and offensive coordinator Matt Nagy said today that his mental makeup is in a good place after spending last year injured and recovering. He came into OTAs in great shape and is doing a good job putting things together right now. The special teams aspect is also important for him. In yesterday's video, I shared how Louis Rees-Zammit and Nico Remigio were the first set of dual returners during the kickoff period, and Nagy continued saying as Nico continues to get opportunities, his question is, what is he going to do with it? Well, so far, Nico seems to be making more of the opportunities given than Sky Moore has. That's a guy I would also consider to be on the bubble, so we shall see what happens in the wide receiver room with all the battles going on, and it's going to help when the pads come on Friday for the first time. I'm going to say that several times in this video, but it's very important to have the pads come on and we can really see some action from O-line, D-line, wide receiver and DB battles, running backs, and more. Now, another receiver we are all excited to see back out there is the rookie Xavier Worthy, who had an incredible showing his first day of training camp before having to miss the rest so far due to strep throat. Nagy said that Worthy is a dynamic receiver that has shown a great understanding of angles on top of his routes and ball tracking, something they can really use this season. Veteran wideout Hollywood Brown spoke to the media today as well, complimenting the same about Worthy and shared how tracking a deep ball like that is far from an easy thing to do, especially when you're running full speed and adjusting the route to locate that ball, track it down, and make the grab. So that was a very impressive rep from Worthy his first day of camp. We're talking about that 62-yard bomb from Mahomes to Worthy for a touchdown. Hollywood is excited about the competition of the wide receiver room overall, saying he just wants everyone to stay healthy and keep it moving. He's definitely one of the leaders in the room, so he's setting the standard as well. He didn't say that, but it's obvious. Meanwhile, Nagy complimented Hollywood during his presser, saying you can feel his veteran leadership. They've put a lot in playbook-wise, and Hollywood is handling it well, not making the same mistake twice. His mental fortitude is great, and it shows up on the field. An example of that is this play here with Hollywood acting like he's going deep and then cutting hard for the right sideline with Mahomes giving him a near perfect pass that allowed Hollywood to get possession and remain in bounds for the catch. That was honestly such a clean route from Hollywood here. Can't wait to see more from him. And I also love how Mahomes leaned in the way he did. He's like, did he catch it? Is it in bounds? I don't know. The way he did that just made him look like he was showing his age a little bit, the ripe old age of 28 years old. Rashee Rice was also busy today catching this pass here from Mahomes, stopping on a dime and spinning around like a top right past Brian Cook to pick up some additional yards. Rice is about to have an incredible year too. I feel it in my bones, especially if his suspension doesn't happen until 2025. We'll see about that. But Mahomes also lofted a beautiful pass here to Rice on this play, fitting the ball right over the outstretched arms of Nick Bolton. Then this side angle of the same play shows you how nice Mahomes put that one for Rice to make the play. From here, let's talk a little defense for a moment. Chiefs legend Derek Johnson was seen out there talking with the defense before practice, which was freaking awesome to see. Then while Nazeeh Johnson left near the end of practice, it is worth noting that he was actually out there with the first team defense today, working alongside Trent McDuffie, as well as Chamari Connor on the inside. The second team defense featured Kelvin Joseph and Joshua Williams on the outside with Nick Jones inside. So for today, Joshua Williams flipped with Nazeeh, who are two of the three players, Jalen Watson being the third, that Spags recently said is fighting for that cornerback 2 spot with it still being wide open. Joshua Williams spoke to the media today saying he's approaching this 3-way battle for the second corner spot like he wants it 100%. His goal is to do everything needed to win that spot as he works on trying to become more consistent each and every rep. That's ultimately what the coaches are looking for, consistency. He also respects both Nazeeh and Jalen Watson and knows they are doing all they can as well to earn the spot. Competition is nothing but a good thing. And speaking of corners, Trent McDuffie picked off Mahomes today, this play here on a pass intended for Justin Ross. Ross was running a slant route, but it didn't seem like he expected the ball to come his way, so he wasn't really ready for the pass, and McDuffie made him pay for it. Another corner who made a nice play today was the rookie DJ Miller out of Kent State, with Matt McMullen, the senior reporter of the Chiefs, noting that he made a leaping INT down the sideline during 11-on-11. Then, Linebacker Drew Tranquill batted down a Mahomes pass to the flats, and Tranquill had a nice pass breakup yesterday as well, a near very solid one-handed INT. And iron definitely sharpens iron out there. And while Tranquill got the best of Mahomes there, Mahomes got him back with the help of rookie tight end Jared Wiley, who made what could have been the play of the entire day. I mean, God bless America, look at this catch. Wiley hauled in a one-handed grab deep down the right sideline with Tranquill very close in coverage, and man, what a freaking play. One-handed by the rookie here. Watch it again just so you can see the beauty unfold before your eyes. I'm very excited about the 4th round draft pick out of TCU, Jared Wiley, and as you can see from Travis Kelce's chest bump at the end of the play, he's also very excited to have Wiley out there. And while Kelce was pumped up about that play, he was not happy at all about another play that happened involving Kadarius Toney getting leveled. Remember, the pads aren't on, so Kelce was rightly upset. Contact isn't allowed. But before I get to that whole ordeal, Kelce did haul in a pass of his own here from Mahomes after a very smooth route led him to jump up and snag the pass and take it all the way to the crib to an applauding crowd. Now, we are about to see more chippiness once the pads come on, but I was a bit surprised to see something happen like this, at least this early on in camp, before the pads are even on, and especially considering who it involved. It actually involved Kadarius Toney and George Karlaftis, which is the biggest surprise to me. Karlaftis is normally pretty level-headed out there, but Toney could be seen on this play catching this outside pass from Mahomes, and as Toney kind of weaved his way back inside through traffic, juking this way or that, Karlaftis barreled him over, knocking him hard to the ground. In response, Toney jumped up and actually chucked the ball in the direction of Karlaftis, missing him, but the point was made that he did not appreciate that hit from Furious George. Andy Reid apparently had a couple of words for Toney after that, but he had to have seen the hit and knew George was asking for it. Anyway, after watching this play like way too many times, it looks like Toney at the last second here jukes to his right, putting himself, directly in the line of sight or directly in the path of the already moving Karlaftis who was in pursuit. However, I don't think Karlaftis had to lay into him like he did. He actually lowered his shoulder using his weight to hit Toney pretty hard, which caused him to ricochet off of George onto the ground. So when you've got a guy that big, George Karlaftis lowering his shoulder into Toney is roughly 70 pounds lighter than Karlaftis. So when you factor in all that, Toney did not even stand a chance. I have no idea what prompted George to do this either. Like, did Toney maybe say something to George in the lead up to this? Maybe a little bit of trash talk as players on both sides of the ball tend to do from time to time at camp and at practice. Honestly, I wish I knew, but either way, it seems like George was a bit out of line here, and Travis Kelce thought so as well, because after the football was thrown at George and they began to go their own directions, Kelce could be seen hustling up to Karlaftis, getting in his face, headbutting him, giving him some choice words, and when George turned towards him, Kelce shoved him as well. I'm sure Kelce said something like this: "You are way out of line, dog. Don't be hitting your own teammates like that when the pads aren't even on, you dumbass." And knowing Kelce, he probably used some F words sprinkled in there as well. What's crazy is, even after that, George looked fired up as he walked away backwards from Kelce like this, even turning back towards them all with the little hand gesture like, "What's good?" And I don't know, I admire the fire from both sides here, a little surprised by the actions of Karlaftis. And again, I think he was a bit out of line. I also appreciated Kelce being a bit aggressive as the veteran leader on the team to actually stick up for Toney here and let George know that was not cool. Toney's not a fan favorite. I know that, you know that, we know that. His production was lackluster last season, and he struggled with drops and mistakes and even had some rants on social media. However, Travis Kelce has always gone to bat for him, taking him under his wing like a little brother since he arrived in KC, and even said this about Toney on his podcast after the Bills game, where Kelce caught that pass and lateraled it to Toney for a touchdown, and that was all negated because Toney lined up in the neutral zone.
And I got all the faith in the world. That dude, he's one of our best players we got with the ball in his hands. You turn on the film, you watch what he does when the ball's in his hands, and you can't tell me you don't want that guy in your team, man. So everybody hating on KT right now, man, I'm not trying to hear that. You can fucking miss me with it. I'm trusting in 1-9 every time he's out there on the field.
So say whatever you want about Kadarius Toney, but Kelce is the veteran leader on the team. He sets the standard, and he's going to go to bat for his guys and let others know that cheap shots like that will not fly. But hey, what do you guys think about all this? Do you think George was out of line and Kelce was right to get in his face about it? Do you think maybe Toney was asking for it? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts either way in the comments down below. And since we've been talking so long about Kadarius Toney, we might as well keep going for a moment longer because Toney was once again seen taking handoffs today as a running back. I shared in yesterday's video a crazy idea floating around of Toney being used a bit in a Jerick McKinnon type role this season, third down back, pass protection, catching passes out of the backfield, which would honestly be insane, but it's almost crazy enough that it could actually work. Nagy was asked about Toney's role as a running back and said they are wanting to use Toney's strengths and experiment with him back there. He's dangerous with the ball in his hands, so they're really just trying to use his versatility to do that, get the ball in that man's hands, whether it's a pass or a handoff. Another running back seen out there was the running back fullback hybrid Carson Steele taking a handoff, and I'm ever so curious to see how he does when the pads come on and how they kind of use him in that hybrid role. Speaking of running backs, Nagy said the Welshman, Louis Rees-Zammit, has done a great job so far, and his attitude is phenomenal. He's just got to keep the pads low and his head up, especially when the pads come on. He kind of runs funny out there, but has been working on it. And Nagy said when the pads do come on this Friday, it's going to be really fun to watch him run around out there. I also want to note that Deneric Prince once again entered the 11-on-11 period immediately after Isaiah Pacheco for the second straight day. Maybe it means nothing, but maybe it means something. This is the second day in a row now. Prince has entered before CEH immediately following Pacheco. So I'd love to see if that trend continues this Friday when the pads are on, because that could mean the second year Prince is climbing his way up the running back ladder. Another second year player to watch is Wanya Morris, who's fighting for that left tackle spot against Kingsley Suamataia, the Chiefs' second round draft pick of this year. Yesterday, he took every first team rep at left tackle, but today, Kingsley actually entered just 3 plays into the 11-on-11 period. And I don't know if it's because Wanya had a really bad false start on this play here, where Mahomes played through it anyway and found an open Hollywood Brown, or for some other reason. But either way, the left tackle battle continues to be a big old question mark at the moment. Another question mark is who will be playing the left guard spot this season if it's not Joe Toney. Let's just say Joe Toney's injury is not quite ready to start the season. Who is it going to be? Well, yesterday it was Lucas Niang working inside there, but today Niang was rotating in at right tackle after Jawan Taylor, and the 5th round pick Hunter Norzad was actually in at left guard in today's practice. Norzad played 4 out of the 5 spots along the O-line in college, every spot aside from left tackle, so it makes sense they continue to move this man all around. And with that, the Chiefs have a day off tomorrow, then the pads come on this Friday. So I'll be back Friday with another recap of camp practice where you can actually hit each other, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?